Hi, welcome to my tube. My name's Marge. I'm a Hilk empath, and I just like doing these little talks on the way I feel about things and being an empath. That's all I do is feel. So we all are empathic. Or we all are empaths. Most people just ignore it and consume things to dull their senses. Not me. I embrace it, and I try to do things to sharpen and heighten my senses. All of them. I'm clairier, all the clairvoyance, clairaudient, clair all the, a lot of people are. And I'm not really that special. I just have a keen way that I can explain things that people go, oh, okay, I get it. I can see it that way, and because that's my purpose, is to get people to see things in a different way. I'm a Heoka. I see things backwards, but everybody else looks while everyone else is looking at the same thing. I see things with a different perspective, and and I'm a big proponent in um, uh, astrology and stuff, and it tells us who we are. It's all right there. Time of birth, birthday, all right there. Numerology, it all defines us. There's all these different paradigms that we can do that verifies who we are. It's just sometimes people don't like what and who they are, so they try to trick you. But when you read energy like me, and that's what I'm trying to do, is get people to read energy, then it doesn't matter what people tell you, because you're going to believe yourself. And you can be wrong too, but hey, isn't it easier to get out of a problem than it is to, or isn't it easier to stay out of trouble than it is to get out of trouble? So I was talking about I was thinking about energy and stuff, and well, that's all I think about, and balance and everything. And I went out this morning and I had a real good morning. And I see when you're an empath, like me, um, or if you're a person like me, um, let's see, some markers of things that personality traits that I've always had. So I was always the kid that danced by himself, at a party in the front, watching the band dancing around. People record, and then the kid usually looks around, realizes someone watching them, and then they get bashful and insecure and self-centered, and then they stop dancing. Well, I was a kid that never stopped dancing. That I would, if you were smiling like what I was I'd keep doing it because I raise people's vibration. That's what I live to do, and I went out early this morning, and the gal works at the laundromat's a friend of mine, and I like to go down there early when she's still drinking coffee, and I'll bring some special creamer. Last time it was pumpkin spice, and this time it was peppermint, chocolate peppermint, and so last week we're tasting fall, and then this week we're feeling seasonal, Christmassy, or I was anyway. But she enjoyed it, and we just have conversations, and it's like everywhere I go, I talk to people, and they're just like this, head bobbing, because I find people that are in alignment with me, and when people don't feel like they're aligned with me, I leave them, they're their business, and go on about your world. And so usually when I go over to the grocery store, I put the clothes in the dryer, and then I go across the street to the grocery store and do my shopping while the clothes are drying. And I did that, and I sit there, and because I always have pain in my spine and stuff, so I know the importance of keeping it loose. So I walk through the store, and I dance when I walk through the store, because I listen to my headphones, and I do this dance walk thing, and people just kind of, do this, and it's just like, hey, when people are leery, and I was standing in line on the checkout, there's like 3 cashiers that I usually go to, and the first one wasn't there, so I went to the gal that has the same name as my mom, Loretta, and I stand there in line, and I'm dancing while I'm waiting, because it keeps my back loose, and I'm just like boo boo boo, and people will come and they'll 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 see that there's no one in line, and they'll see the light on, so they'll come and stand by me, and I'll be dancing around. There's an older dude that came, and he's just oozed bureaucrat, and freaking, and he stood there for a second, and then see, sometimes when people vibe high, you make them uncomfortable because they vibe so low, and they don't understand, they're so miserable life or whatever, they can't understand why somebody, is so happy. So he freaking walked all the way down at the end, because he saw somebody walk past the register, and he thought they were going to open up, so he walked all the way down at the end, and they weren't open. So I'm just like, haha, like, dummy, because I know what he did. He freaking, and then he went to the register next door, and then, I'm talking, I'm like, telling Loretta at the cashier, I said, sometimes it's people, I said, it's the funniest thing. I said, I tell a lot about people who will just, come and stand next to me, because I'm dancing around and stuff like that, And if people are like, what a weirdo, you know, all I think of is, you don't like joy, because I'm just a joyful human being. So it just tells me that they're not. So if I repel them, that tells me they're in a negative vibration, and you know, and I'm just like, that's fine. I don't want you around anyway, you know. And I was telling the cashier that, you know, this is how I tell about people, you know, because people. And she's like, well, I think you're wonderful, or I think you're delightful, or something like that. And I was like, thank you, you know. Um, you know, it's not always easier for me to take compliments, so I just was taught, just say thank you, and that's it, you know. Because I used to deflect before, when I thought that I wasn't good enough, you know, for for crowds and things like that, or for people or whatever situation. Then what happened is, you know, in the last few years I've been made to go within, and I'm just like, man, I really am the best person I know, you know. And I try to do everything. I try to do things daily to verify that and to support that. And sometimes I fall down because I'm a human being in a figurative sense, and I'm rude to people. I'm a total jerk, you know. And so I feel like somebody's been a jerk to me, I can be a total ruthless jerk. Never violent, you know, with physically, but you can be just as violent with words and berating. So I really try not to do that. It's a defense mechanism I've learned to do, and but we're supposed to learn to get past our defense mechanisms, and we live this life just to learn lessons, you know. And sometimes the lessons that we have to learn, like, I did this when I used to put cigarettes in my, pick up cigarette butts and pretend like I was smoking. I'm talking 2, 3 years old, and I have recall about this, you know, because I always felt like, you know, I'd see movies and the cool dudes would smoke cigarettes, and you know, they were the badasses, and they weren't afraid of nothing, and nobody bothered them and stuff like that. So I did that until I was probably closer to 4. And then my mom had a boyfriend who kept catching me, and he's like, you want to smoke, I'll make you. So he got a pack of cigarettes and made me puff puff puff, you know, on, you know, keep smoking, don't stop, you want to smoke, you know. So so I didn't like smoking much or anything related to it. And then later in life I found I started smoking Dejarm clove cigarettes, and then smoked those for a few months, starting about 15, and then I tasted a Camel filter, and it was over because it was so smooth and so much less harsh than the Dejarm. So I smoked Camel. I was a Camel kid for like 15 years, 20 years, and I quit smoking. Um, oh gosh, I guess it's been about 7 years now. 2005, 6, 7, 10 years? Has it been that long since I quit? Anyway, I smoke. I use medicinal from time to time, but I even like the edible CBD more than even smoking that, because it's just harsh. So I knew that I had that negative attachment in me. I knew it, you know. And a lot of kids that are being freaking incarnated, they don't even have to ask their parents' permission. They have recall of their past lives. They don't care what anybody else does. They're like, you know, like I saw an ad where a little girl was making jewelry for to help feed homeless kids, and she was like 4 and or 6, and the dude that was interviewing was like, well, how long have you been wanting to do this? And she's like, 10 years. That tells me that she, you know, at the end of her last incarnation, that this is something that she wanted to do, and she's intended to do it. So it's fresh in her little spirit. So that's why she's doing it so young. And a lot of these young starseed indigo kids, that's what they're doing, is they have full recall of their past lives. And we're the dummies. The older generations or I'm the dummy that didn't listen to myself when this is what was happening, you know. And like, mom always told a story about how she's like always felt like she was a nun in a past life. So this stuff is not new to me. It's new to the rest of the world, and that's why I talk about it here, so they get more comfortable with it. You know, all the stuff that people said was woo-woo, yeah, it's woo-woo, but it's true woo too, you know. So don't be afraid of it. When you freaking are afraid of things, then you draw things into your life for you to be afraid of. That's just crazy. I used to do the same thing. I used to think about all the stuff that's scary. This is so scary, and then it would happen, you know. And later in life, I learned about manifestation, and I was like, oh shoot, you know. So now it's just like, you know. And then I think about all the things I want, and I'd never get it because I would put myself in that the vibration of keep wanting things, so nothing would ever show up in my life. And I'm content with everything I have, and things are starting to show up. So it's verified, you know. We get to play with our worlds And, you know, and when I say play, I mean, like, go against myself and my own belief and my own truth or not, you know, or taking somebody else's, because the world opens up a lot more when we stop taking on other people's reality as our own. Yeah, so anyway, I think that's about all I got. So yeah, it was a good day, you know, and I'm all done, and it's all done with my chores and everything. Mom just had lunch, so I'm gonna go meditate for about an hour, and we'll see what comes next. Hope you all have a rad afternoon. Peace.